Let's jump to the story from SCNR.com. Rand Paul clashes with Fox News host over bill that could ban TikTok in the U.S. Quote, you cannot take people's property without due process. Well, okay. The bill, which the Senate is now considering, would require TikTok's China-based parent company, ByteDance, to divest itself from the platform or be removed from U.S.-based hosting and app stores. Appearing on Fox and Friends shortly after the House passed the bill, the Kentucky senator was asked by Kilmeade if countries like Russia, China, North Korea, and Iran should be able to own influential social media platforms. Quote, the company's owned 60% by international investors, 20% by 2 Chinese software engineers who developed it, the entrepreneurs who began the business, and 20% by their employees, 7,000 of whom are American. It's a very diverse ownership. It's not owned by the Chinese government. In fact, on TikTok's board, there are no Chinese nationals that control that are associated with the government at all. They are CEOs from Singapore. So this is international corporation. And like every other international corporation, they deserve their day in court. You can't just take their property. Who owns that company? ByteDance. ByteDance is owned by China, Kilmeade said. No, it's not. See, that's a lie. Paul shot back. It's getting interesting. Rand Paul's wrong. ByteDance is a Chinese company based in Beijing, incorporated in the Cayman Islands, founded by Shang Yiming, Liang Rubo, and a team of others in 2012. Also, the Singaporean CEO has led investments into tons of Chinese companies. I don't understand what's happening. Someone needs to explain this to me, why it is that the anti-TikTok divestment bill people are pushing misinformation.
Well, do you think it has anything to do with Jeffrey Yass? I was just reading about him. He's a top political donor in the U.S. and he's a libertarian. He has like a 7% stake in TikTok, which I find interesting.
Yeah, but I don't think he's controlling all this.
No, I mean, he has said
but he's supporting Trump or something. Is that what's going on?
He's hosted like different Ride the News. If you're on Instagram, has a whole carousel up on this right now. It's interesting. He's talked to Trump about different things, and Yass has come out and said, similar to what all of the sort of libertarian leaning congressmen who are against this, which is like, we can't give more power to the president who can do these things. There's concern about privacy. What are we ceding? So it's following a libertarian standpoint. But.
Yeah, I mean, I'm usually with Rand Paul, Elon Musk, Donald Trump, Thomas Massey, and they're all against it. And then you got Joe Biden for it. I mean, if you're looking on whose side you want to be on, I think
I don't care about whose side I want to be on. I want to understand why Rand Paul, Thomas Massey have put out information that's wrong.
Do they not know, do you think? Or do you think they're intentionally misrepresenting the facts?
I have no idea. Thomas Massey posted snippets from the bill out of context that duped even me.
Huh.
And when he posted the snippet, I said this would ban Telegram and VPNs because the snippet would. But it's got a bunch of subparagraphs which restrict what the bill can actually do, to which the response from people who want this bill to be stopped say, but the government will abuse it. And I'm like, if your argument is the government will do whatever they want regardless of this bill doesn't matter.
Well, that's a good point too.
If your argument is this bill is bad, explain to me why it's bad. But Rand Paul's outright wrong here. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills. He's on Fox News saying ByteDance is not Chinese. I can't find
it is. Yeah,
I know. Sure. I can't find any source saying that's not. What's he talking about?
He went on Tucker Carlson too and basically said the same thing. And I liked his quote on Tucker Carlson. At least I haven't seen the Fox News snippet, but he said something along the lines of, we don't want to beat the Chinese Communist Party by emulating the Chinese Communist Party. And so I think his whole thing is just about free speech and letting people, if you want to get on and use this social media platform, then that should be your choice as opposed to
TikTok. China will not allow us to operate companies in their country. I don't understand, simply from trade reciprocity, why we allow China to operate, to buy farmland, to buy land in general in this country.
Yeah, so why are all the people who would not block the purchasing of farmland in support of this bill to block TikTok?
It's weird.
No, I'm pretty sure.
They're not going to pass banning Chinese ownership of farmland in the U.S. Though that's not going to happen. I mean, unless there's movement of a lot of co-sponsors in Congress right now on that. I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it yet. I mean, there are congressmen who do put out bills like that, and it happens on the federal and on the state level.
But this passed overwhelmingly. I mean, it was 150 to.
I'm pretty sure Democrats have also pushed the no more Chinese land ownership stuff too. Washington Post reported lawmakers in 33 states. Maybe they're mostly Republican,
mostly red states.
Mostly red states
Don't
for
need
sure.
any Democrat votes.
Yeah, but I do think it's fair to say the only reason the TikTok bill has actually moved forward is because of Israel. That's patently obvious.
So you think that it's just because Biden is tired, the Democrats are tired of having the
Palestine stuff?
so much, pro Gaza, pro Palestinian stuff on TikTok, which is leading to more protests and
it's a fact.
And that'll hurt him in the election.
Take a look at this data from Axios from October of 2023. October 16th to the 23rd, there were 123,000 posts with hashtag Stand With Palestine, only 11 million views. There were 8,000 posts Stand With Israel with 12 million views. In the next week, it jumped. With only 87,000 posts, Stand With Palestine now had 285 million views. And with 9,000 posts, Stand With Israel had 64 million. Two things. Either TikTok, and some analysts have argued that this is evidence that TikTok put their thumb on the scale, creating an algorithm that would then promote. The reason being, with 123,000 posts and only 11 million views, why the massive disproportionate jump in viewership? It would have to be that the TikTok algorithm was actually starting to suggest this content that was Stand With Palestine. The other issue may be that third-party governments began operations, or activists in those countries, to heavily influence Stand With Palestine, resulting in an inadvertent algorithmic push to support Palestine. Regardless of whether TikTok did it on purpose or not, it is a fact. TikTok overwhelmingly pushes more pro-Palestinian content, and the U.S. government can't control that, and it's generating youth sentiment in favor of Palestine and against Israel. That undermines U.S. foreign policy, U.S. support of Israel, and they love Israel. So immediately you found your bipartisan support for banning or controlling TikTok. That's where we're at.
I mean, it could also be because Biden wants the power to be able to shut down social media he doesn't like.
But he can't. The bill doesn't do that. Thomas Massie and Rand Paul are putting out fake news. I can't tell you why. They're wrong. And I get these messages where they're like, yeah, like I'm going to believe you over Thomas Massie. I don't care if you believe me or not. I'm going to tell you, we read the bill. We showed the bill on the show. The bill is extremely narrow and
it's short.
It's what is it, like 1 page?
Yeah, it's like.
So it doesn't expand presidential powers to determine
like
what's
13
permissible.
Pages.
So in order for a president.
What are they talking about then?
In order for.
I'm not deep in it either.
So the bill only has the ability to restrict a website, desktop app, phone app, or augmented reality immersive software that is controlled by the governments of, in some way, Russia, Iran, North Korea, or China. If there's an individual working for them, that qualifies. If the president wants to ban anything other than TikTok, it has to be of the technologies I listed, website, app, etc., that allows users to create profiles, post content, and to create a profile to view content, do both.
If Vine makes a comeback.
If it was made by an Iranian, it has to also present a clear national security threat that has to be articulated by the president to Congress 30 days before any action can be taken, which then it defaults to the judicial review section, which allows anyone who's accused judicial review in the jurisdiction of DC to challenge this. And then they have the opportunity to divest from whatever the source claim is. Would not ban it. The president under this bill look, I'll put it this way. If Biden wants to ban X, he can do it right now. How does he do it? He goes to the CIA and says, draft me a national security letter. They meet privately with Elon Musk and they slide the national security letter over to him and they say, we own your platform.
So he already has this power, basically.
They've done it before. They do it today. They do it all the time. This bill is specifically publicly facing announcement as to why they could shut TikTok down if they wanted to. But people are going to then say, whoa, what's happening? Why is this going on? And considering TikTok is foreign owned, China owned, China will screech to the high heavens, blast out notifications. So in order to make this change, you have to do it slowly. In order to get TikTok under the control of U.S. government so that the algorithms don't undermine its foreign policy, namely Israel, they're passing this bill. They will not be able to ban X or Rumble with this. The best argument you could make for Biden being able to do it is to claim Donald Trump is secretly working for Russia. The only problem with that is after 4 years and a $35 million investigation, the determination was that Trump never actually worked for Russia and they accomplished nothing by doing it. I don't think Biden would ever actually be able to pull anything like that off. It seems insane.
So the Senate's going to pass it. Biden's going to sign it. It's going to go to SCOTUS. What do you think happens there? Because Rand Paul on his Tucker interview was like, is this going to pass and it's going to go to the Supreme Court? And we won. This kind of thing was shut down before we have precedent for this. So I don't know what the previous case was about, but
I honestly don't know. I think there's a strong possibility SCOTUS strikes it down and says,
free speech kind of thing.
It's not a free speech issue because
I don't know what else they would...
it's divestment. It's not a ban. And I suppose the argument is, I see a path towards SCOTUS actually saying the bill's fine because it's not an American company. They could say quite plainly, a company that operates outside of the United States with interest in the United States is subject to the jurisdiction therein. And if the United States wants to have access to this information and it's being denied, they absolutely can engage in enforcement action against this to stop. More importantly, it's also entirely possible SCOTUS just plainly says the United States has enemies. Those enemies seek to undermine and destroy these United States. And it is within the rights of Congress to pass legislation that is then approved by the president to seek remedy in the event our country is being undermined by a foreign adversary. In the event that a country created a weapon that was damaging to this country, but sold it to the American people, it would not change the fact they're still an enemy selling a product. When imagine if China started selling designer drugs, and they've done this actually, and Congress passed a bill saying you can no longer sell Waba Baba in the streets because it's causing harm. And then the Chinese company that owned it said, you can't ban my product. Our product is safe and good. And they'll say, we've determined your product is harmful. And it's a drug now under the Controlled Substances Act and it's Schedule 1. And then they go to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court says, well, you can't take someone's property from them. That makes no sense. If this is regulated as if it were a drug, I see no reason why Supreme Court would say they can't do this. Thanks for watching this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. Hang out with us live Monday through Friday at 8 p.m. and become a member over at timcast.com for uncensored, members-only shows exclusive. Thanks for hanging out, and we'll see you all next time.